So then, before I get into what this video is about and the predictions I'm making in this video, I think it's only logical that I give a bit of background, as there may be some people watching that don't know the background to this, and if you don't know it, then it kind of makes the main point of this video a little bit confusing. And that is essentially, before the beginning of this year's theme park season, Thorpe Park had announced in an FAQ section on one of their social media posts that Black Mirror Labyrinth would not be returning to the resort for this season and would unfortunately be departing from its lineup. As well as this, the park had also announced that the Slammer would in fact be deconstructed and essentially removed from the resort at the end of this current season, with obviously the Slammer now sitting SB&O for many years, and for those of you who don't know what that means, that is standing but not operating, so the attraction has not been open for many years and has just sat there taking up space for quite a while now. And I originally made a video after this news was announced about what rides we could see there, and barely touched on the subject of something which is a lot more realistic, and I did mention it in that video, but since making it and going to Thorpe this weekend, it's kind of become a lot more prominent in my mind, and I think there's something which we could see happen there this year. Now, this thought kind of came into my head while I was at Thorpe Park on Saturday trying to get a ride on Hyperia. Unfortunately, didn't get a ride on Hyperia, but got a lovely look at the queue line before being told that they were evacuating the queue line and it wouldn't be open for the rest of the day, which means there's 3 hours of my life which I spent queuing for literally nothing, but oh well, I guess these things happen, don't they? And plus, I can't really complain because at Thorpe Park have given us return fast passes for when we go back. So, hey, when I do go back, it'll mean I don't have to go in the stupidly long queue. But while I was there, this sort of spurred the thought of mine that that space that we've got kind of sitting empty would be perfect for the park to utilise this Fright Nights, which in the past video is the furthest I went. But I've got a really prominent idea that given that in 2021 we had trailers as the new maze, in 2022 we had survival games as the new maze, and 2023 we had Stitches as the new maze, the park is investing in a brand new maze every year for Fright Nights. This is the space that I think it makes most sense for them to use this year, as it really is just empty, waiting to be used. And we've seen it used for many mazes in the past, with the Walking Dead maze being in there previously and it being used for many scare attractions. This space would be perfect to be used. But the reason that I think the Slammer Park could be prominent for this is I think, given that the Slammer's being taken down at the end of this year anyway, the park needs to be less cautious about what they can do to the area. Because, for example, if it's an area that the park needs to use for other things, and there's a pathway in the way that used to be the queue line for the Slammer, usually they'll go, well, we need to keep that out of the way. Whereas now, it's deserted anyway, they could choose that they could extend it to an outdoor section as well, and have that entire space used, because realistically, it's not being used for anything anyway, and all that's really going to happen is the Slam will be taken down afterwards and the space can be cleared of the Fright Night stuff at the same time. And that then caused the thought of, if they're making a maze in that area, what does it make sense to theme it to? And I think it's the perfect opportunity to make a maze themed to the Hyperia storyline, because we've seen the ride hasn't really been themed to much of an extent. Now, I'm not criticising that part, but you can't deny it, with just wood chips everywhere making it look a little bit lacklustre. And I think if they were to make a maze themed into the storyline of this ride, now I know that that's something that's quite difficult, given that it's not necessarily scary, the theme of Hyperia, flying because of a fear of the water, but we've seen mazes do that in the past, like Darkest Depths is themed to obviously like the ocean, and I know it's more of like a shipwreck sort of theme, but it can be done, and I think it's the perfect opportunity to take this lackluster theming, build it up in this maze to have a better storyline and theme to it. Then you could always incorporate stuff you've done in the maze back to the ride at a later date, so that you can add theming to the area and it makes sense because it would correlate with what you've seen in the scare maze for it. And not only that, it would also mean they can remarket this attraction for people to come back because they're further evaluated on the storyline with a scare maze. We've seen it done before with, I know it wasn't a maze, but Subterra Towers is purely an attraction that goes further into the story of Nemesis and sits on its own from that. This could be a lot like we've had with the Sanctuary at Alton Towers, where it was, I know it's before the Smilers opening, going more into the storyline before you went on the attraction. This could be a maze going into the story of Hyperia, but the only difference being the maze opened after the ride originally has, and I think it would be a perfect opportunity. Now, I'd love to know what you think about this. This may be something that I'm completely skewed on. The main part I'd love to hear is whether you think it is feasible to be used for this Fright Nights, because that's something which I could really see them doing short term, because using it for Fright Nights, it doesn't mean they can't do anything next year there, because Fright Nights theming could be taken away quite easily for it then to be developed on next year but this year it's just sat there waiting for something to happen. So I'd love to know what you think. Please do let me know in the comments. It's great to read all your opinions. That's the bit I love about these videos, is sort of engaging and having conversations with you all, because it's nice to share our opinions on it. Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe. It really does make the world of difference and really does help this channel out. And I'll see you all in the next one.